we're the Refugee Law Clinic Munich. We are a student association in immigration asylum law, and our goal is to make immigration law more accessible and transparent to everyone. We're helping refugees and immigrants with whatever issue they have in relation to immigration asylum law. Sometimes it's not even about, of course, it's about the legal advice you give out there, but I think as well about just being there and giving out, offering a space kind of community and saying we're here for you as well. I think maybe this could as well lead us to the point of talking about like our personal experiences, because I already connect something with that, which is I remember I remember once I was in a legal counseling session as legal counselor with a great friend of mine, and I remember one of our clients who had to get a passport from his home country but didn't have it because he had to flee because of war, and he didn't have the papers, so you have to get them from the embassy. And I asked him if he could take the journey to the embassy in Berlin, and he was not able to because he had a severe medical issue and as well had that testified by a doctor. So I asked him, okay, could maybe someone else travel for you to the embassy? Like maybe you can give them allowance to travel there and get the documents. And he told me that he had no one in Germany, like he had no person to really do that for him because he didn't know anyone. He was felt very left alone there. And in that moment, I as well really realized that this man was just really grateful as well to be in a room with us, like some students or like, I don't know, 20, 21-year-olds, because he felt like he has a community, like a friend group in a room with him. And that felt really special. Like, I felt like tearing up a bit, but for me, that was really, really emotional as well.
It's interesting because sitting there and being there, and there's like normally kind of like 8 cases maybe if there's a lot going on, and every person has a story, and that's what I love about that organization we're part of, because it's more than just a number or a random person sitting there. It's such a big history you're confronted by. So I would even say it's a big privilege for us to like be there and give that help to those people. And I've had a similar, not similar situation, but I've also, I think all of us who do this have situations we remember because they touch our hearts or get us emotional. And I also have a story to tell. It was recently, last week. It wasn't really something about law. It was just like it was really crowded. There were like 8 cases we've had, and we're just in the room. I was typing on my computer, I was researching something, because we were always 4 people sitting there. 2 are just writing, 2 are talking to the person who needs advice. And then this family was standing in front of the door and they were knocking, and I just went outside and talked to them, and they were like really like, oh God, we already waited for 2 hours, but we have to leave. We have to get our train. We came here from Garmisch all the way for 2 hours, but we can't stay, and it's just so devastating because we need that advice. And they were like just on the floor, and I was like, oh gosh, okay, that's a big commitment they took, and I'm like, wow, just for us to help them. And I didn't even know like that our help was so much needed. And then I told them, okay, what can I do for them right now in this situation, this moment, because it was a mom standing there with her 2 small daughters, and they were just looking at me, and I was trying to figure out a solution. And I said, okay, please come next week, and you're going to be the first no matter what. We're going to take you in like first person, because we have a list where they have to sign in, and we have a priority, of course, so it's fair. And they were, just for that simple thing that I told them, you're going to be the first. We're going to take you in next week. They were like smiling. They were so happy just by that small thing. And I was like, wow, okay. And they were like, okay, yeah, thank you so much. We really appreciate that. We're going to be here next week. And thank you so much. So they took the train to get here for 1.5 hours, took the train back to Garmisch for 1.5 hours. And I don't know, like for just me telling them that they can come next week, and they were so happy about that. And just those little things which matter so much in another person's life. And I think it's changing all of this.
Yeah, and I think that proves once again how great it is that we have different locations all over Germany. Like imagine that we only had the Refugee Law Clinic in Cologne, and then those people from Garmisch would have had to travel there.
Yeah.
Because what's great about us is that we're of course not only supporting the lawyers that have already specialized in the field and that already have such a huge demand of clients to take in that sometimes they can't even take in more. We're as well supporting those who can't afford a lawyer because our counseling sessions are entirely free. They don't cost anything, which is great for people who can't afford a lawyer and need free advice. And yeah, I think as well, I consider it a huge privilege to do this work because I think as well it's about someone to not be left alone in the society, especially with such a vulnerable issue in a sense, or definitely when someone comes in the counseling session. It's a vulnerable topic, and sometimes as well, like they're bringing their small children in. We've once had a really small baby as well in the arms of a mother who was confronted with papers that told her that she would get deported in a few months. And there, of course, that you have to be strong in those moments, very calm as well, but as well direct sometimes when you see that we can't do anything. For example, in cases when someone would get deported in the next days, we unfortunately cannot act. We're still a student association, so we have our limitations as well. Like we can as well not represent someone in court. But it's, as I've said, or as Lennart has already said, it's about being there. It's about doing as much as we can if it comes to legal advice, because sometimes as well, in my opinion, we're covering things for free where I think sometimes clients would have gone to a normal attorney just to, for example, get some documents looked over. And so it's great for us to see that we can help the lawyers out with that, like with the workload, and as well the people to have like a session where they can just get in and don't have to wait for months for an appointment, especially in something like asylum law where you really have certain issues that are urgent that have to be resolved in the next 2 weeks, for example. So yeah.
So while I think our student organization is necessary because there's a huge demand. There are many people who are fleeing to Germany who are refugees and also don't have the financial sources to maybe afford a lawyer and to maybe afford that law advice. And that's kind of like the space we fill in. The people in need who are maybe lost somewhere in the jungle of bureaucracy in Germany, and that's where we step in as students with the knowledge we have, the knowledge we gathered, and provide to that issue.
Sometimes I would as well want maybe politicians who are pushing the agenda or narrative of refugees or immigrants here. They're not trying to integrate, they're not really trying to, for example, find a job or whatever, this kind of narrative, to maybe as well have had a conversation with us in the Caritas, with those people who come in every week and who prove each and every week that the complete opposite. I've met so many people that want to be a part of this society, that want to find a job here, but of course are sometimes confronted with certain barriers as getting their degrees accredited here, language barriers, bureaucracy. So it's as well, there are certain structures that need to be facilitated a bit more. You need that certain empathy to say, I see you, I see those people that have gone through it and that have that story, and I empathize with you and I want to do something about it and I want to help. So for me, it's really about solidarity, and it's about helping out, and about that no one feels left alone in a sense. And so for me, I loved especially sitting down with immigrants and refugees in the counseling sessions, because for me, I know I don't have access to those kind of conversations in my personal life. So of course I have many friends who are immigrants or have a different background, come from different cultures. But I think not many who have gone through the whole asylum process. So it's great for me as well, who do not have to go through it, to understand others, how difficult it is, and as well to see what needs to be done and what needs to be fixed in a sense.